Madam the Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Ware? Commissioner Varga?
Here.
Commissioner Palomero?
Here.
Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Show them excuse both, and Sam Baidoon is excused. Oh, McCormick is here. Yeah. Okay. Commissioner Ware may show in the end, but Baidoon, his excuse.
Commissioner Anderson?
Here.
Chair Hattis?
Present.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. First item.
B, approval of the February 25th, 2020 meeting minutes.
Move approval.
Motion been made and supported. All those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion carried. Next item.
C, old business. There is none.
Okay, next item.
Item D1, under new business, communication from Detroit City Clerk forwarding a petition of Harper Investment 6 to establish an obsolete property rehabilitation district.
Move to receive and file. Support.
Motion been made and supported. All those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, motion carried. I think we have a few items receive and file. Yeah, 10 total, so we could, yes, Mr. Anderson.
I guess it's more concerning the last one, probably where I should have asked it. Is there some way, I don't know if Kelly's here yet, she's not. Is there some way that we can start getting a notation on these tax credits? This sounds like one that we're going to lose revenue. County's going to lose revenue as well as everyone else. No matter all these that are happening with developments and all over southeast Michigan, but in Wayne County, I think it costs us every time we lose revenue. And I'd like to see if we can get a note on there how much that costs the county. And I'm not sure that one, if that was one, but I know the brownfield redevelopment, other things that,
Joe?
Through the chair, the receiving files are simply notifications from the respective, cities and townships of meetings, essentially. Because like with all 10 of the Detroit ones here, 1 through 10 are all from Ms. Winfrey, City of Detroit. They're just notifications of meetings, basically city council, committee meetings over across the street at KMAC. That's all they are.
okay. At some point, I'd like to us to have a bigger discussion on that because I know I'm on the Michigan Association of Counties Finance Committee, and Grand Rapids does it. They get into the process and they, in cases, and this is maybe a discussion we could do later on in the agenda or another day, but I'd like to see us do what they do, and because they get themselves at the table by denying the capture of Wayne County taxes, or their county taxes.
Can't.
How, they do it, and it's
Yeah.
apparently state law now allows them to do it. And I think we need to explore that and find out if we can for sure, and why are we not doing it?
My personal opinion, first thing, we need to know what they doing,
I'm getting that
We don't know
information.
what they doing. It's because it's not one size fit all. It's not, maybe it's applicable in the Grand Rapids, maybe it's not applicable in Wayne County. So we need to find out if you could get that information, then we could have our legal economic development person, we could sit down and discuss it in a meeting. Then we see if we want to proceed to bring it to the committee or not.
Okay, fair enough. I've asked the commissioner from Grand Rapids to send it to me, so as
That
soon as
would
I
be
get it, I'll share it.
That would be excellent, lady.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We have 10 items, receive and file, and
Move all 10 items.
motion been made and supported. Any discussion on any of the 10 item? Okay, seeing none, all those who agree signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carry. Next item.
Item 11, requesting commission approval of a purchase agreement with Hamilton Corridor.
Okay. Motion been made and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, I'm not on this committee, but I am concerned because this is my city. And this is a great development for the city of Highland Park. But I'm concerned about 1.08 and this qualifying conduct. And I just want to know if this is in all applications?
I think we have somebody within the administration may comment. Please turn your mic on, introduce yourself.
Good morning, Haris Ahmad with Corporation Counsel. I'm just going to review this just to make sure what we're talking about means an activity.
1.08.
It would be in different agreements. It may not be in all of our agreements. It wasn't something that was put specifically for this one, but it was based on to make sure it was mirroring. There's a lot of parcels that are being assembled, so the Wayne County Land Bank is also selling some parcels as part of this development, and they do include this in their provisions. And so it was just, it was designed to mirror that. That's really what it is.
Well, can I ask our attorneys a question then? Have you seen this in any of the other contracts?
Through the chair, no, I have not seen this in any of the other purchase agreements that, since I've been here with the commission, none of the meal purchase agreements have not had this particular clause in it. None of the purchase agreements that I've had the opportunity to review, and I've reviewed quite a few since I've been here, has had this particular clause in it wherein the purchaser will be responsible for the criminal activities of others, and should there be any criminal activity on the property, it will act as a breach of this contract. I have not seen that in other purchase agreements.
So if you would like me to respond to that, the provision is there. We're dealing with it's an arm's length transaction. We're dealing with a very sophisticated developer. The developer had no problem with this clause. And as I said, it is a typical clause that's put into land bank contracts. So again, it was just mirroring what they already had.
Well, I think our attorney has seen a lot of the contracts, and she has certainly not seen this before.
Sure. So again, it's not something that the developer had any problem with. And again, we've done a lot of contracts over the years, so it is in the Wayne County Land Bank contracts.
Well, I'd like to see some other contracts that it's in then.
Yeah, Commissioner, I don't have it in front of me. And again, we have representatives here from the developer.
All right, Ms. Former Land Bank.
The land bank contracts don't come to the commission, so that's most likely why the commission council hasn't seen this provision before. I'm not really familiar with this particular provision, but it sounds to me like it's a good thing for us. It protects us.
Can you identify yourself, please?
I'm so sorry. Cheryl Jordan, Deputy Corporation Counsel. So I'm not sure, maybe there's a misunderstanding when you're reading the provision, but the provision actually is good for us. It puts a little bit more onus on the purchaser who's developing the property to make sure there's no criminal activity. And I think the reason that's a standard provision in the Wayne County Land Bank contracts is because the properties that the Wayne County Land Bank typically sells are usually high-risk properties. You know, they get them after they're not sold at auction, and they're sometimes in high-crime areas. And so Daniel's here, too, that can maybe give some more insight on the provision, but it actually seems like the provision is good. It protects the county. It protects Highland Park more than if it weren't there. So I'm not sure if, maybe you were misunderstanding the provision in itself.
I don't know, I'm just asking to see some other contracts that this is in.
Okay, so yeah, and that's the reason is, right, like I said, the Wayne County Land Bank has its own board of directors that approves their contracts when they sell property, and those don't come through the commission, so that's
Well,
likely
then the
why.
land bank, those mills, wasn't that land bank?
No.
None of that had anything to do.
Oh, ma'am.
Well, I would still like to see some contracts with the land bank. I'm not on this committee, but
Yeah.
that is my city, and I am truly concerned about it. I know that there aren't a lot of contracts that Afro-Americans have, so I am concerned if that's the case or not, or you think that Highland Park has all the high crimes?
Okay.
Sorry, if I could just address it. Commissioner, this was not put in at all because of who we were doing. This is really, and again, Daniel can confirm as the head of the land bank that this would be a standard provision in the land bank contracts.
So,
S-
good morning.
state
If it's
your
okay
name.
with the chair,
Yeah,
my
yes,
name
go
is Daniel Rosenbaum. I'm the executive director of the Wayne County Land Bank. This is, so I can't speak for the county's contract that's before this committee right now, or the county's contracting in general, but the land bank, I can talk to land bank contracts. And under what we call our rehabilitation program at the land bank, which is when we sell properties with investment requirements and usually with blight remediation requirements, under that program, when we sell any property, every single property, we have this disqualifying conduct term in the contract. The reason we have it in there is at the request of the local communities. So local communities want to see this because before we started this rehabilitation program, before we had this clause in our contracts, there were a few times where properties were sold. And even though the work was getting done on the property, there was also criminal activity happening on the property. Communities were reaching out to us and asking if we could do anything about it. At the time, our answer was no. With this term in the contract, our answer is now yes. So for the land bank, speaking from the land bank, every single property under this rehabilitation program that we sell has this term. Whether it's in Highland Park, whether it's in Romulus, whether it's in Detroit, whether it's in Harper Woods, whether it's in Ecorse, whether it's in Taylor, every single property, every single contract has this term. The properties the land bank sold under this agreement, the land bank sold 29 inventory properties under this agreement. Because of the nature of that sale, these were rehabilitation project properties, and therefore, under our policies, this term was a standard term in the contract.
I just asked if I could see a contract where you sold some properties that have this in it.
I'm glad to show you a few hundred. I will absolutely share some with your office.
Because our attorneys have not seen this before.
Sure. I will share sort of a sample, and if you have any further questions, I can share a lot more. But we've done about 750 properties under this rehabilitation program in the last 3 years. I think all of them, if not almost all of them, have this term. So we're looking at hundreds of contracts. I'm glad to share some.
All right.
And just to Anthony Cartwright, Economic Development, there are 290 parcels in this development.
Right.
We have 3. So we wanted to best make sure that between the land bank, the city, and the county, that we tried to mirror each other's purchase agreements as best we could, staying in the parameters of what we need to do. So I think that's why Harris was talking about that land bank provision was in that, because a lot of these properties do belong to the land bank that this group is purchasing. So we just try to mirror
Thank you.
most of the provisions.
Commissioner McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I have seen that clause in many purchase agreements because when you purchase property and or rent property, you want to make sure that they're not using it for any illegal purposes. So that's sometimes a standard clause in the purchase agreement. So.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Palomera?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the explanation. And if there's anything amiss here, it's that the county hasn't been including it in all of their contracts previously. And I hope it's in all of the Wayne County contracts because it protects the local community here and it protects the county. So thanks for the explanation.
Any other question? Okay. Okay. Motion been made and supported. All those who agree signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carry. Next item.
12, a presentation by the Economic Development Department on the Eloise property in Westland.
There we go. Wafa Denaro, Wayne County Economic Development.
John Hambrick, 30712 Michigan Avenue, LLC.
So we're here today to talk about, to just kind of give the commission an update on the Eloise property that we sold almost 2 years ago now. I brought John, who is the developer, with me here to be able to answer any specifics about the property. We are currently working with the city, working with Eagle to get through some of the environmental issues on the site. There's been quite a bit of environmental work done on the site, and there's quite a bit of remediation that needs to be completed on the site. We have the city initially assessed the property, over-assessed the property at $1 million. So the developer has been working through that process to get it assessed at its true value. That process has taken up until recently. The developer had to go to the Michigan Tax Tribunal to get it assessed properly, update that most recently happened last month. So the property is now being assessed at its value. It's not over-assessed. The developer is looking to start doing some of the work now. We met recently with the city of Westland to talk about some of the environmental remediation that needs to be completed, including getting some grant money and some loan money from Eagle to assist with that environmental remediation. I'm going to turn it over to John to talk about the specifics of the development, and once he's done, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, as you know, Eloise is an iconic property on Michigan Avenue. We've had some challenges on the property, one being the assessment. The true cash value came in at $2.5 million. So we've recently just got that adjusted to $800,000, which we just recently paid the taxes. So we've done extensive environmental work in the upwards of $120,000 to get all the environmental completed on it. It took approximately 9 months for the company just to complete all the environmental work on the property, because the property has such a long-standing history since, since 1839. I've become kind of an expert on Eloise since I've been involved. So there was considerable amount of assessment that needed to be done, and then we had to select our abatement company and also our demo contractor. So we put it out for bid. We have all of our bids back. I've now selected Adamo Demolition. Their numbers were the best, and I think they're the most qualified to do it. The company that obviously they're located in Wayne County, and also the abatement company that they use is located in Inkster. So we're trying to comply to our agreement to use local contractors. As Wafa said, which Wafa's been wonderful as far as helping, and so has the county with assisting. But I just received a letter of support from the mayor of Westland. I have it with me if anybody would like to see it. So Mayor Wild is on board with abating the property and the demolition and the redevelopment. He's actually pretty excited to get this corridor of Michigan Avenue back to public use and vibrant, right? So we just met with actually the city yesterday. We are trying to get, I just received a draft of my brownfield plan today. I could also share it with anybody that would like to see it. So we're hopefully going to be going in front of Westland's Brownfield Redevelopment Authority in the next couple weeks to get our brownfield plan approved. And then we can start moving towards getting our 381 work plan done and start moving towards the demolition. There has been some pushback from the state. We're trying to get over that hump right now. They're saying they don't want to support the project because it's not in a downtown area. But as the county has expressed, this Michigan Avenue corridor is very vital to the county. They want it to be redeveloped from Detroit all the way to Washtenaw. And I really believe that. I think Michigan Avenue is a crucial corridor for this particular development. This could be the spark that absolutely helps that. So we're trying to get the state on board to assist us in participating in the brownfield activities, and we're hoping to do that within the next couple weeks. But in the meantime, we should have our brownfield plan approved through the city of Westland. And of course, I have the county support as well. So, we're getting pretty excited about getting this redeveloped. Some things are now coming up that will, I think, make this a flagship project for Michigan Avenue.
Is the residential zoning for the building funded by MISTA or anything? That's why they wanted accessibility to shopping or commercial?
So we had MISTA out to the property. We had Chad Benson and Al Martin, the two big guys there, and they said they will not fund anything until the property's abated. They cannot, we can't even apply till we get the power plant abated and the environmental issues done. They were very cordial, but yes, they are excited about the retail because it makes it more walkable. And when you have more walkability, that means tenants can access more services. Yes.
Is that shopping center west of the property, Kroger and all that, considered good positive point for the project?
Yes, it's an amenity for sure because it's very walkable, right? You can walk.
So it would be one of the requirement to have a walk-in path or trail between the property and the shopping center?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, now we open for the commission. Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you. When was the decision by the tax tribunal?
It was the end of February, I believe.
This year?
Yeah, the judgment finally got filed.
Okay, all right. And it was filed under, was it, what's the address, right?
30712 Michigan Avenue LLC, correct.
Okay. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
The tax tribunal in Lansing?
Yes, sir.
At Lansing, yeah, because the municipality only on March one time a year. Okay. Any other question? The main thing what we get from the public, Commissioner Anderson and I, we get a lot of calls about the dilapidated building facing Michigan Avenue. Because I agree with some of the critic because it's been years. If private owner or businessman owned that property, he would be taken to court, having a ton of tickets, and probably foreclosure on the property from them. And in my book was not accepted to have a government-owned property and not fell under the same rules the citizen. You know, the law, it's the law. But it is what it is. It happened, and now we want to look for the fast solution. There any time limit we could give the people, say by this time those buildings be gone?
I am hoping to start the demolition by the end of June.
This year?
Yes, sir. With the abatement first, right? Because in the power plant alone, there's so much asbestos that it's probably going to take them 4 to 6 months to clean the asbestos out of the power plant. And then one of the biggest issues we just found out, Eagle brought to our attention, was the coal behind the power plant. So from the back wall of the power plant all the way to the road, that is all coal. It was just left, right? That's where the train rail used to come in, dump the coal to feed the power plant so it could power the site. So we have approximately 50 yards of coal, and we don't know how deep it goes. So we have to do additional environmental testing to find out how deep is it, and if the ground underneath indeed, in fact, is needs to come out and clean soil be put back in, or is there a vapor mitigation system that needs to happen? So that's kind of, there's a lot of challenges to Eloise. But it's, we're very excited about the project. It's just trying to get through the understanding of what the scope is, and as you know, Eagle is pretty particular when it comes to the dirt. Anything in the soil, they're very stringent on the soil. So we're trying to gauge that right now.
And my last question is the building next to the sheriff department.
Yes.
That it's part of the demolition plan, because after you demolish that building, the land go back to the county.
Yes, sir.
And that, and
You still currently own the land. I do
yes,
not own the
yeah,
land.
but
Yep.
you committed to demolish the building and clear the land. Is that part of the same project demolition you have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so by end of June, we see the demolition going
Mm-hmm.
on. Okay, we it's a big discussion on the contamination of the land, because the state and the federal, they changed a lot of rules now. There are a lot of contamination. They don't require the developer to move it out of sight, because you take it from Section A to put it in Section B, it's still the same. I mean, long as it doesn't have effect on the people's health right away. So probably there's some of the contamination would qualify for that to speed the process. The only thing we hope is to put a little bit more focus on the public's opinion surrounding the area, as they anxious to see that site clean. We appreciate you here today, and we thank WAFA for being here today. And we just can't wait.
Neither can I.
Bellamera, Commissioner
Yeah,
Bellamera,
thank you,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman. So are you saying the remediation and cleanup exceeds what you anticipated over there? And if so, do you have a ballpark figure of how much more it's going to cost you than what you anticipated once we entered into this transaction?
So, yes and no. So right now, we've discovered some underground tanks that leaked, that are behind the family shelter, that were never remediated by the county. So that was brought to our attention by Eagle. So that is the only outstanding with the coal and the underground tanks being an issue. When you have an underground storage tank and there is a known leak, right? It's supposed to be remediated by the property's owner. So when I took the property on, that technically is not my liability under a BEA. I did a baseline environmental assessment, so that covers me from any liability of anything in the past. So the big thing now is, okay, we know there's a leak, and it's directly sitting underneath the parking lot of the family center behind it, between the golf course and the family center. So we have to determine how bad was the leak? Did it contaminate any of the soil surrounding? Is it below? Is there any fuel left in the tank? And then what is it? Do we even have to remove it? So that is some of the additional environmental assessment. They're going to go out and do borings around the tank to just make sure how far did it leach out or did it not, right? I mean, there's just a leak reported. So we don't, in the environmental records, it really doesn't say where, how much. We know it was petroleum. So, and petroleum dissipates over time too. So it could have leaked and then, the water in the ground took care of it. So we are, with the coal testing and that, we should have our finalization. But the good news about that is Eagle has a grant to take care of that. So that would not hold up the demolition. So they have anything under the soil, any contaminated soil, they have a grant that they can give us to clean the site up. So that's so that's not going to delay anything. And even if it is, whatever the cost is, Eagle's going to cover. So you're welcome.
Commissioner McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The group or organization, the business that you're under, what's that? Because we don't have that here. What's the name of it?
The LLC,
Yeah,
30712 Michigan Avenue LLC.
3-1.
30712 Michigan Avenue LLC.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me something about the cemetery and the accessibility of the cemetery?
So the cemetery I've been maintaining I've been keeping the grass cut, and the accessibility, it's weird because there's a gate, and that gate, there's an RV or like an airplane kind of model club that has access. So there's a shared road that actually goes through the actual entrance, and they're constantly locking the gate. I've unlocked it, tried to work something out to keep it accessible because people want to go there. People want to see, they know there's a loved one buried there, they just don't know where, so they kind of just designate a gravestone and say, this is my loved one, and, they get solace from that. So plans for us on the cemetery is we'd like to do a nice granite commemorative plaque, re-fence the property, get rid of the chain link that's there, and put in something a little more nicer, whether it be wrought iron or an aluminum black fence, and make it accessible to people during certain hours that want to actually go to the cemetery.
Excellent. I know you talk about the demolition, but I just received so many questions and calls. I want to make sure I cover everything. The fire station and the bakery, it's included in the demolition process.
So actually, maybe I might keep the fire station because I think I might be able to do a coffee shop and maybe potentially a restaurant and kind of dedicate something to Eloise. I had a contractor look at the building. It's very solid. So I would just need to get a roof on there. And then I could potentially, I don't know if you guys know this, but the city of Westland has the original fire truck from 1919. Maybe I can convince them to give me the fire truck back. We could display it in the old firehouse. One thing I've noticed since I've been involved in Eloise, there's people there constantly. I bet there's 10, 15 visitors a day, just taking pictures, walking around the site. I've noticed that it's a very popular site. People are very drawn to Eloise. So I feel like if I could give something for people just to come, have a cup of coffee, maybe custard in the summertime, do a kind of like an ice cream thing, and then apple cider and donuts in the fall. I really think it would be a great revenue stream for the property and also be able to preserve that firehouse because it's really, I could just take what's out inside through the demo, right? Because I'll have that covered and then just kind of shore up the roof and then leave it all wide open and maybe kind of do some museum. If I can convince Mayor Wild to let me borrow the fire truck, I don't want it. Just let me borrow it so people could see it and actually see what a massive site and what a great site this was at one time, and kind of just make a little dedication to Eloise in that building. It might, I think it would just complement the site, actually. So it's kind of what we're talking about now.
Any other question from Commission? Well, I want to thank you. I know. In the beginning, it really been a little bit of stressful for me from the constituents in the area. It's in my district, and you answered a lot of questions, but you put that sweet ending in the end with coffee shop. And it excite me, and I wish you well. The only thing, I hope things go faster than you recommend, but I can't wait till June get here.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Me
you.
neither. Thank you, Commissioner
Thank you,
Hunes.
Wafa. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Next item.
E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Any other such of a matter? Seeing none, now we move to public comment. Any public comment? Once, twice? We have a special on public comment today. We give anybody who want to talk 1 hour. So, no taker. We move to the next item.
Adjournment.
Motion been made and supported. All those who agree signify by saying aye. If anybody disagree, could stay here. Motion carried.